We tend to categorize mathematics as an exercise in pure logic, a system of abstract thought operating independently from the physical properties of the real world. But this creates a biological paradox. Human beings can perform complex calculus, yet our neuroanatomy lacks a natively evolved module designed for mathematical processing. To process numerical magnitude, the brain co-opts ancient evolutionary circuits, neural pathways originally developed for physical spatial navigation. In the late 19th century, the polymath Francis Galton documented the first evidence of this physical mapping while studying the internal lives of his peers. Galton identified a phenomenon he called number forms, where certain individuals involuntarily visualize numerical sequences as rigid physical structures in space. These subjects described a literal topography, where abstract quantities occupied fixed and repeatable physical coordinates. For decades, these cases were viewed as neurological outliers. Modern neuroscience, however, suggests these forms reveal the hidden architecture used by every human brain to calculate. What we perceive as abstract arithmetic is a sensory spatial illusion, built on a biological reality that is visible in the way we process sight. The most direct neurological environment to observe this connection is synesthesia, a condition where sensory inputs trigger involuntary cross-modal experiences. Researchers use the form search test to isolate how numbers are processed visually. For most people, finding the triangle of twos requires a serial scan of the grid, an effortful process of checking individual locations one by one. For a synesthete, the twos instantly take on a distinct color, causing the hidden shape to separate from the background immediately. This rapid recognition is the result of hardwired neuroanatomy. Deep within the visual cortex, the V4 area is the brain's primary region for processing color. It sits directly adjacent to the fusiform gyrus, a region which handles the visual recognition of numbers and shapes. When developmental pruning of neural connections is incomplete, these two areas remain hyperconnected, a mechanism called cross-activation. This physical hyperwiring makes abstract numbers inseparable from sensory input. The question is whether this spatial cross-wiring is an anomaly or the baseline for all human thought. Testing for a universal baseline requires measuring involuntary physical reflexes in the general population. Cognitive neuroscientist Stanislas Dehaene designed experiments to measure how spatial bias influences our reaction times. Subjects were asked to judge whether a number was odd or even, responding as quickly as possible with either their left or right hand. When presented with small magnitudes like 1, 2, or 3, subjects were consistently faster when using their left hand. When the numbers increased to 8 or 9, those reaction times shifted, becoming faster on the right side. This behavioral pattern is known as the snark effect. The data shows a direct correlation. Human beings are biologically faster at processing small numbers on the left and large numbers on the right. This confirms that every human brain projects a mental number line across physical space, anchoring abstract magnitude to a left-to-right orientation. This universal reflex is generated by a specific neurological hub. The area known as the intraparietal sulcus, or IPS, originally evolved for tracking physical coordinates and guiding eye movements. Because the IPS is a spatial organ, its innate mapping of magnitude is logarithmic. We naturally perceive proportional differences. On an innate number line, the spatial distance between 1 and 2 feels vast, while the difference between 8 and 9 is compressed. Modern arithmetic, however, requires an absolute linear scale, where every integer is spaced equally. Cultural training and formal education physically rewire this spatial map over time. This rewiring creates a linear scale, forcing the compressed numbers to occupy uniform intervals. Linear mathematics exists as a cultural overlay, physically stretching an ancient logarithmic foundation. The evidence tracks from the hyperconnected visual cortices of synesthetes to the universal patterns of the snark effect. This data points to a singular anatomical reality within the parietal lobe. Functional imaging confirms the brain relies on these same regions for advanced calculation. We do not process mathematics in a logical vacuum. Our ability to quantify the world is tethered to the neural circuits our ancestors used to navigate space. Our understanding of number is ultimately a study of the constraints of our own spatial neurobiology.